Hey there, Benjamin from Lovestarter here. Welcome to my Google Ads tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get up and running with a new Google Ads campaign. You'll learn how to get the most out of your campaign by applying best practices used by some of the most successful advertisers using Google Ads. We're going to walk through all of the steps you'll need to take from start to finish, and I'll also share extra tips to help you maximize the results from your advertising spend. This is one of my longer tutorials because there's lots to cover, so feel free to pause the video as you're setting up your own account. You can find links in the description that let you jump to the different topics we're about to cover. And if you have any questions while you're watching the tutorial, then please post them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I can and help you with Google Ads. Okay, let's start by looking at how Google Ads works. Let's head to Google. And I'm going to search for fitness class online. And now we're looking at the search results. At the top of the search results, we can see some ads. These are from advertisers promoting their offering using Google Ads. So when you create your Google Ads campaign in a moment, you'll also have the opportunity to show your ads on Google search results. At this stage, I want you to be thinking about the keyword that we searched for, so fitness class online for this example. And then I want you to think about how well each of these ads relate to the keyword. Do they closely relate? Are they relevant or not? If we click on one of these ads, we'll then be taken to the advertiser's landing page. This should closely relate to the ad and the keyword that we searched for. So as you begin advertising, I want you to think about these three elements for your own campaign: the keyword, the ad, and the landing page. The better the relationship between these three elements, the better the performance of your campaigns. Now, the way Google Ads works is that advertisers compete to be displayed in the paid results as people are searching. There are a number of factors that Google uses to determine where the different advertisers are placed in these paid results. This includes a quality component, so the relationship between the elements we've touched on, and the amount each advertiser is willing to pay for a click. And as we set up our campaign in a moment, we'll cover important settings and recommendations you can use to get the best results from your ads. Okay, now that we've covered important foundations for your campaign and how Google Ads works, it's time to set up your Google Ads account. To create our account, we start by heading to ads.google.com. And let's click Get Started. You'll need to log into your Google account to create your new Google Ads account and campaign. This could be your Gmail address, your Google Workspace address, or the login you use for Google. For the login I've used, I already have access to a couple of Google Ads accounts. If you are advertising different businesses, then you should create separate accounts for each business, just like I have separate accounts. If you're just getting started for the first time, you won't see this step. You'll actually skip straight to the next step. But since I do have other Google Ads accounts, I'm going to select the option to create a new account. The first thing we're asked to do is select the main goal or objective for our campaign. Depending on the selection you make, Google Ads will guide your setup experience. For example, if we select the option to get more visits to our physical location, then Google Ads will recommend settings that are designed to help you achieve that objective. However, I'm assuming that you're here to learn how to manage your own campaigns with a hands-on approach. I'm guessing you want to be in control of how your advertising budget is spent. So instead of letting Google Ads make important decisions for our campaign, we're going to use the option to switch the account to expert mode. This puts you in control. So I want you to go ahead and click the link that says Switch to Expert Mode. This might be a bit daunting if you're just getting started because it will mean that you can control all of the different settings and configuration options in Google Ads, but I promise this is a good thing. It will mean you have more control over how your budget is spent. Okay, so we're presented with some more options. We're again asked to choose a goal or objective for our campaign. We can choose from sales, leads, website traffic, and more. Again, if you want Google Ads to help guide you through the setup of your campaign, this time in expert mode, you can select one of these options. But I want you to choose the option on the bottom right, which lets you create your campaign without guidance. Choosing this option means you can choose the type of campaign you want to create. We can create a search campaign. This lets you place your ads on the search results on Google. We can create a display campaign, which lets you show your ads on thousands of different content sites. For example, if you wanted people to see your ads as they're reading a news article, checking the weather forecast, or reading a blog, then you could create a display campaign. These are the two most common types of campaigns people create in Google Ads. Apart from search and display campaigns, you can also create video campaigns to promote your videos, app campaigns to promote your app, smart campaigns, which are automated campaigns, shopping campaigns to promote your products, local campaigns, and discovery campaigns. Today we're going to create a search campaign. This is the type of campaign I recommend you create if you're getting started with Google Ads. It's also the type of campaign most likely to drive conversions. This is because a search campaign shows your ads as people are actively looking for something. They're on Google and they're searching for an answer. They might be searching to make a purchase, find directions, or looking for the latest sports results. The benefit of a search campaign is that we can target our ads to people who are actively searching for something relating to our product or service. And that's why I always recommend starting with a search campaign. So let's select search. Again, we're asked to select our objectives for the campaign, but I want you to skip these and click Continue. First, we need to name our campaign. Now you might be wondering, what is a campaign in Google Ads anyway? Well, a campaign in Google Ads is like a folder. It's a way to keep things organized inside our account. For example, imagine you have a website that sells digital cameras. You might have one campaign to advertise the Sony cameras you stock and another campaign to advertise Canon cameras. So campaigns provide structure, which we'll talk about later in this tutorial, and they're also really useful when it comes to reporting and optimization. For now, I want you to think about your most important product or service. I recommend advertising something that is already working for you, so anything that is already resulting in sales, leads, or conversions. This is what you should advertise first. I'm going to promote my Google Analytics glossary with my new campaign, so I'm going to name my campaign Search GA Glossary. I like to include the type of campaign at the start of the name. I find this makes things easier when managing different types of campaigns in Google Ads. The next thing I want you to do is go ahead and deselect Include Search Partners and deselect Include Google Display Network. By deselecting Google Search Partners, your ads will only be shown on Google search results. And I always recommend deselecting Google Display Network for a search campaign, since it's much better to create a separate display campaign if you want to run ads on content sites. By adjusting these two options, your campaign will be more targeted. Next, there is an option to show more settings. There are options here to set a start and end date for your campaign. So if you're creating a campaign that you only want to run for a certain amount of time, like for a holiday or for a seasonal campaign, then you could choose a start and end date. I want to highlight that the only time you can choose a start date for your campaign is as you're setting it up. After you've created the campaign, you won't be able to change the start date. However, you always have the option of adjusting the end date. Most people don't need to use the campaign URL options, so we're going to skip this. And we're also going to skip the dynamic search ad settings. The final option is to set an ad schedule. This lets you turn your ads on and off on particular days of the week and particular hours of the day. I suggest leaving this for now unless you have a specific need to turn your ads on and off. For example, if you're an emergency locksmith and you only want your ads to show after regular business hours. I'm going to skip all of these options for my campaign. Now we need to choose where our ads are going to be seen. This will be the geographic location of our target audience. We can see that because I'm in Australia, Google Ads is suggesting I target Australia. For my Google Analytics glossary that I'm going to be advertising, I might want to target my ads to all countries, so I could select all countries and states territories. However, I wouldn't recommend selecting this option as you launch your new campaign. This is because by targeting all countries, you would be getting the most coverage for your ads, but it'll also mean that you're going to spend your advertising budget very, very quickly. So what I want you to do is take a moment to think about where your existing audience is located. Where are your highly engaged audience members located? Where are your prospects? And where are your current customers? Are they located near your business? Are they located in your country? Are they located in a different country? Think about where you're already getting sales or leads from for your target audience. By focusing on locations that are already resulting in conversions, you're more likely to see similar results from your Google Ads campaigns. Then you want to balance your targeting so that you're being fairly precise without being too narrow with the locations you choose. For example, if all of your existing conversions are from the city where your business is located, then you should start with this as your location target. Or if conversions come from all over the country where you are located, but most come from an individual state or territory, then focus on that area first. The main thing to remember is that even if your product or service can be provided anywhere in the world, having a large geographic target will mean your advertising budget will quickly disappear. And you might not achieve the results you're hoping for. For my campaign, I'm going to target my ads to Sydney and Melbourne. We can also control how location targeting works by selecting location options. These options are generally more important for localized offerings like hotels, restaurants, and businesses that only serve customers in a specific location. In most cases, the defaults are fine, but to be a little more precise with our targeting, let's change targeting to presence, people in or regularly in your targeted locations. This means people will need to be located in the locations you're targeting, while the default means that people could be located in or interested in the location. Okay, so just remember that when it comes to choosing your location target for your campaign, you want to be fairly precise, but not too precise. If you're too granular with your targeting, like if you target a zip or postal code or a very precise location, then your ads might not be seen by many people. Next, we can set the language targeting for the campaign. I recommend setting the language that your ads are going to be written in, so I'm going to leave this set to English. We then have audience segments. This lets you add advanced targeting options for your campaign. For example, you can target your ads to people if they've already been to your website using remarketing, or you could target ads to people who are interested in particular topics. Since we're just getting started, I suggest leaving these for now. You can always adjust your audience targeting after you've created your campaign. If you'd like to learn more about audience targeting in Google Ads, including remarketing, then I've included links to my extra resources in the description below this video. Now we're at a really important step, your budget. This is the #1 way to control your advertising spend in Google Ads. If you set your budget too high, then you're going to end up being charged a lot for your campaign. So it's important to get this right and enter an amount you're comfortable spending. First, you should pick the currency you want to use for your Google Ads account. I'm based in Australia, so I'm going to leave this set as Australian dollars. Take a moment to ensure that you're happy with the currency that will be used for your account. Then we have to enter our budget. The budget is the average amount you want to spend each day. For example, setting a budget of $100 means that you will be spending up to $3,040 a month. I always recommend starting with a small budget, since you can increase this once your campaign is up and running. And my other tip is to set a budget that you're comfortable spending regardless of the results. This might sound strange, but as you start a new campaign, you'll need to spend some money to understand what works and what doesn't work. We're experimenting to then refine our campaign. For my campaign, I'm comfortable spending around $300 a month, so I'm going to enter $10 as the daily budget. And just to highlight, this is an average. Some days Google Ads will spend more than your budget amount, and other days it can spend less. Now that we've set our budget, it's time to choose our bidding strategy. Your bidding strategy works with your daily budget to determine how much Google Ads should spend for someone to engage with your ads. For our search campaign, this is about how much we want to spend for someone to click through on our ad. We can see that Google Ads is recommending that we focus on clicks. And this message highlighted in green is saying they recommend using the Maximize Clicks bidding strategy. This bidding strategy will take the daily budget, so for my campaign $10 a day, and Google Ads will try and achieve the most number of clicks possible within that budget. So it's going to automate bidding for us. Now, this is okay, it's a decent bidding strategy as you get started, but I recommend having maximum control over your campaign as you learn about Google Ads. So what I want you to do is click the link that says, or select a bid strategy directly. You can now choose from all of the available bidding strategies, and not just Google's recommendations. Selecting the drop-down, we can see there are also bidding strategies based on conversions. These are good options to experiment with once you've configured conversion tracking and you're achieving results from your campaign. But for now, I want you to go ahead and select Manual CPC and ensure that Enhanced CPC is disabled. Manually setting your bids puts you in control of your campaign. This means you get to choose the maximum you want to spend on a click. And just to highlight, you can change your bidding strategy whenever you want, even if you've launched your campaign. Under bidding, we can select Show More Settings. This lets us configure conversions. I recommend setting up conversions after you've created your campaign, since we're right in the middle of choosing all of our settings. So let's skip this. And there is an option called Ad Rotation. Let's select this. This setting controls what Google Ads should do if you've created more than one ad. For example, if someone is searching on Google and you've created 2 ads, then Google Ads will use this setting to decide which ad to show to that person. We can see the default is set to Optimize, prefer better performing ads. This might sound good since we all like to optimize and improve things, but I recommend changing this to Do Not Optimize, rotate ads indefinitely, because I want you to run your own experiments with your ads. We'll talk more about this a little bit later. For now, just make sure that Do Not Optimize is selected. Next, Google recommends creating ad extensions. Ad extensions let you include additional details with your ads as people are searching. For example, you can include additional links, lists of features, your business location, and more. I think it's important to write your ads before creating ad extensions since they need to complement your ad copy. So let's click Save and Continue. We've now created our campaign, which is the top-level folder structure in our account. Inside this folder, inside our campaign, we can then create ad groups which are like subfolders. Ad groups are used to organize and group the keywords we're going to be targeting with our search campaign. So what I want you to do is start thinking about the types of keywords that relate to your offering. Think about the types of things you expect people to be searching for on Google. Once you have an idea of the types of keywords you want to target, you can create different ad groups to divide your keywords into groups. Since this can be a bit tricky to get right before you've really researched your keywords, my tip here is that you can create a general ad group, and then once you've finished creating the campaign, we can jump back in and finish creating ad groups. For now, let's keep things simple and let's name this ad group General. Since we selected maximum CPC, cost per click, as our bidding strategy, and not one of the automated bidding strategies, it means we need to set the maximum we want to spend on a click through to our website. It can be tricky to choose a suitable bid for your keywords, so I recommend using the Keyword Planner to estimate a bid amount. We'll look at this in a moment. In the meantime, let's enter $2 as our maximum bid amount. This will mean that based on our budget of $10 a day, the minimum number of clicks we could achieve is 5 clicks each day. We can adjust our bids after we've launched our campaign, so if you feel you're spending too much on a click, you can reduce your maximum cost per click amount. Or if you're advertising on competitive terms and you're not receiving any clicks because the bid is too low, then you can also increase your bid. We can see there are options that let us enter URLs from our website and enter the names of our products or services. Using these options will provide keyword suggestions, but I recommend skipping these since the dedicated keyword planner in Google Ads will provide you with better suggestions. So I suggest choosing 2 or 3 closely related keywords for your first ad group. For my ad group, I'm going to enter Google Analytics Glossary and Google Analytics Glossary of Terms. These keywords will be added as broad match by default. This basically means that Google Ads will try and achieve the most coverage for these terms as possible. So our ads will show on the keywords we've entered, along with any variations that Google feels relate to our keywords. This means as broad match keywords, my ads might show on Google Analytics Glossary, Google Analytics Terminology, Analytics Glossary PDF, Analytics Terminology, and a range of other related keywords. Now, this can be a good thing because it increases the visibility of our ads, but it can also be a bad thing. We might show for terms that are not expected and don't relate as well to our ads or offering. Let's take a moment to talk about the different keyword match types we can use with our search campaigns in Google Ads. As we've seen, when we add keywords, they are added as broad match by default. This match type provides the greatest coverage or reach for the keywords you are bidding on. As the name suggests, it's going to broadly match the keywords to what people are searching for on Google. So if we were bidding on chocolate gifts, our ads could appear as people search for chocolate, chocolate gifts, Cadbury gift box, chocolate gift delivery, and chocolate shop Chicago. All of these search queries broadly relate to the keyword chocolate gifts, so this is the default match type in Google Ads. The next match type is phrase match. This is where we put the keywords we're bidding on inside quote marks. This tells Google Ads that we want those words to be included in what someone is searching for, or that someone should be searching for something with the same meaning. For example, chocolate gifts in quotes can match chocolate gifts for Father's Day, chocolate hamper, and chocolate gifts. This match type will match keywords with the same meaning, and phrase match is more targeted than broad match. This means our keyword will not match Cadbury gift box because this does not have the same meaning as the phrase match keyword. Then there is exact match. This is where we place our keyword inside square brackets. This will then match the keyword exactly. So chocolate gifts in square brackets will match chocolate gifts, but not chocolate golf gifts. It matches exactly. When we use exact match, phrase match, and broad match keywords, it's important to understand that these will also match close variants. This means that Google Ads will automatically match singular and plural versions of our keywords, misspellings, and other close variations of keywords. For example, if we were bidding on the exact match keyword of chocolate gifts, then our ad would be displayed for people searching for chocolate gifts, chocolate gift singular, and the misspelling of chocolate gifts. So remember, close variants will apply to your exact match, phrase, and broad keywords. And close variants will ignore function words like to and for, and when the words are reordered but retain the same meaning. Continuing our example of chocolate gifts, this exact match keyword could also mean our ads are displayed for people searching chocolate for gifts and gift chocolate. These are also considered close variants. This brings us to our final keyword match type, negative match. Adding negative keywords is an important part of optimizing the performance of your campaigns. It's especially important to add negative keywords if you use broad match keywords. A negative keyword prevents your ads from being displayed, which allows you to reduce the number of less relevant impressions. Here we can see we've added the negative keyword of ideas along with the broad match keyword of chocolate gifts. This means that people searching for chocolate gift ideas, ideas for chocolate gifts, and gift ideas won't see our ads. You will notice that our ads are still eligible to appear when someone searches for chocolate gift idea. If you don't want your ads to show for ideas singular and ideas plural, you'll have to add both of these as negative keywords in Google Ads. This is because negative keywords don't work in the same way as broad match keywords. You need to be specific with negative keywords. Okay, so when you're launching a new campaign and you don't want to spend your budget too quickly, I suggest using either exact match or phrase match keywords. To really keep things controlled, you can use exact match. But since I do want to have some slightly broader coverage, I'm going to change my two keywords to phrase match by adding quote marks before and after each keyword. On the right, we can see an estimate for the number of clicks we might receive each day, the amount we'll need to spend, and the average cost per click. Since we're using precise targeting with our campaign, we can see it's suggesting we won't receive any clicks. This isn't actually true. I find these estimates aren't very accurate, so use them as a general guide, but expect to see very different results once you've launched your campaign. There's also an option to create additional ad groups, but I prefer to create these later, so let's click Save and Continue. We've now created our campaign and created our first ad group. The next step is to create our first ad. The ad we're about to create is going to live inside the ad group, so this means we need to write an ad that closely relates to the keywords we've added to the ad group. We want to create an ad that is really going to engage with people as they're searching on Google. We're asked to create a responsive search ad. This type of ad lets us enter multiple headlines and descriptions. Google Ads will then combine up to 3 headlines and 2 descriptions to show to people as they're searching on Google. It combines these elements automatically. There are advantages and disadvantages to this type of ad. It's good because it uses Google's machine learning to present the best possible ad to someone searching. But the downside is that we don't have control over exactly how the ad is displayed. So what do? Well, I recommend creating a responsive search ad where you let Google decide on the final ad variation, and we create another ad where we control how the ad appears. Let's create an ad that we control. To do this, we start by entering the landing page we want to send people to on our website. This needs to closely relate to the keywords we added to the ad group, so I'm going to enter the landing page on my website for my Google Analytics glossary. I'm going to leave the display path, but you can also experiment by adding keywords here. Now I'm going to write 3 headlines that closely relate to my offer and the keywords in the ad group. When you're writing the copy for your ads, you want to capture people's attention, be relevant, help them find answers they're looking for, and lead them to your website. So take time to write your ad, make it compelling. Once you've written 3 headlines, I want you to pin them into each position. This means the headlines will always appear in this order, and we can see this in the preview on the right. Now I'm going to write 2 descriptions for the ad. And then I want you to pin them into each position like we did with the headlines. This will mean that the descriptions always appear in the order we've entered them. So we've now created an ad that we control. We're choosing exactly what's included and the order. Now we can see that Google Ads doesn't really like this. It's saying the ad strength isn't very strong. Google Ads would prefer us to enter lots of headlines and descriptions and let the system combine them to create the final ad. So we're going to create another ad to test this out in a moment. For now, let's click Done. And let's click Save and Continue. The next step is to enter our billing details. We need to select our country, time zone, and enter our payment information. Then we click Submit. Okay, we've launched our first campaign, but we're not quite ready yet since we only have one ad group, 2 keywords, 1 ad, and we haven't created ad extensions. So what I want you to do is pause your campaign until you're ready to start spending that daily budget we entered. To do this, select Campaigns in the secondary menu. We can see the campaign listed. Then I want you to click the green circle and select Pause. This will mean we can finish working on our campaign, and then when we're ready to start spending our budget, we can come back and enable the campaign. Now let's explore the interface. On the left-hand side, we can see our campaign. And as you start to build out additional campaigns in your Google Ads account, this section makes it easy to switch between the different campaigns you are running. And selecting all campaigns brings you back to the top level of your Google Ads account. Since we only have one campaign, it's easy to see everything, but this will become useful when you're managing multiple campaigns. Let's select our campaign. We can then see the ad group we created. And we can select the ad group. Using the secondary menu, we can view the keywords and the ads. Okay, so let's click the plus sign to create another ad and choose Responsive Search Ad. For the first ad we created when we were setting up the campaign, we ensured that the ad appeared exactly how we wrote it. So for this search ad, we're going to let Google Ads automatically combine the elements. So let's go ahead and enter up to 15 headlines. Again, you should take time to write headlines that relate to the keywords you're targeting in the ad group, and you want to write engaging ads so that people click through to your website. Now let's add 4 descriptions. And let's save the ad. We now have 2 ads in the ad group. This is the start of testing and experimenting in Google Ads. Once you've launched your campaign, you can come back here to check the performance of each ad. You will be able to see the number of clicks on each ad and the CTR, or click-through rate, which tells you how engaging your ads are. And once you've configured conversions, you'll even be able to see which ad is driving conversions on your website. Now it's time to start thinking about additional keywords we might want to target. A great way to research keywords for your campaign is to use the Keyword Planner. To find the Keyword Planner, we select Tools and Settings, and then select Keyword Planner on the left. Let's start by clicking Discover New Keywords. Now you can enter some of your keyword ideas to get more suggestions. I'm going to enter Google Analytics Glossary and Google Analytics Terms. And let's click Get Results. We're now shown keyword ideas that we can potentially use in our campaign and ad groups. We can see the keywords we searched for at the top, and then below the bar we can see different keyword ideas based on the keywords we entered. You can now spend time reviewing the suggestions. Any keywords that are already in your account will be flagged in the Account Status column. For my campaign, I can see that Google Analytics Terminology and Google Analytics Terminology Cheat Sheet could form another ad group. So let's select these. And we can then create a plan, which is a draft set of keywords, or we can add them straight into our existing campaign. So what I'm going to do is change plan to existing campaign. choose my campaign, and click the option to create a new ad group. We can now name the new ad group in our campaign. I'm going to name this ad group Terminology. I'm going to choose Phrase Match for the keywords. And then I'm going to add them. You can now repeat this for any other keywords you want to add to your campaign. It's important to stay focused as you build out your campaign. My tip here is to only create 3 or 4 ad groups with a maximum of 4 to 5 keywords in each. This ensures that you're being really targeted with your ads, and it also means you're not targeting too many keywords, which will spend your budget quickly. You can also use the Keyword Planner to estimate the search volume of different keywords, the amount you'll need to bid, and the amount of competition. There's a lot to the Keyword Planner, so for now I recommend trying to think like a customer and only choose keywords that closely relate to your landing page, offer, and ads. And to learn more about the Keyword Planner, I've included links in the extra resources below this video. Now let's close the Keyword Planner. And let's head back to our campaign. Now that I have 2 ad groups in my campaign, let's rename the general ad group. To do this, let's select the campaign. Then choose Ad Groups, and click the name of the ad group to edit it. I'm going to rename this ad group Glossary. So we now have an ad group for glossary-related keywords and another ad group for terminology-related keywords. I also wanted to mention that apart from using the Keyword Planner to add keywords to your ad groups, you can also add them directly in your campaign. We can select the ad group, choose Keywords, and then click the plus sign to add additional keywords. I'm happy with the keywords I've already selected, so I'm going to close this. Now we need to select the Terminology ad group and select Ads and Extensions. Since we created this ad group using the Keyword Planner, we haven't created any ads yet, so let's click the plus sign and select Responsive Search Ads. Since this ad group includes keywords relating to Google Analytics terminology, we need to write these ads around that keyword theme. So we're not using the same ads we created previously. We're writing ads that are really relevant to the terminology-related keywords. I'm going to go ahead and write 3 headlines. Pin them, and then write 2 descriptions. And pin them. Now I'm going to click Save Ad. And let's create one more ad in this ad group. For this ad, we're going to enter multiple headlines. And multiple descriptions, just like we did in the first ad group. Now we're going to click Save Ad. This means we have one ad where we've specified what's included and the order of the elements, and another ad that contains multiple elements that Google Ads will automatically combine as people search. Again, this lets us test which ad version is best for our campaign. Once your campaign has been running for 2 or 3 weeks, you should check back. You can then look at metrics like CTR, click-through rate, to decide if one of the ads is clearly outperforming the other one. If you do find a better ad, then it's time to continue testing, so you can pause the underperforming ad and create a new ad with the aim of beating your existing ad. Okay, now let's select the campaign in the menu on the left. And let's choose Ad Extensions. As I mentioned previously, ad extensions let you display additional information with your ads as people are searching. You can create ad extensions at the account level, the campaign level, or for the individual ad group. I'm going to create them at the campaign level, so this means they will apply to all of the ads in the campaign. Let's click the plus sign. We can now see all of the different ad extensions we can create. Today I'm going to focus on site links, since these typically make ads more engaging and they'll increase your click-through rate. To learn more about ad extensions, check out the extra resources in the description below this video. So let's choose Site Link Extension. Site links let you include additional links with your ad when it's displayed in the top positions on Google, so they give people more opportunities to click through to your website. I recommend creating at least 4 site links and add the optional descriptions for each site link. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create the site links for the campaign. Each site link should direct people to a different landing page on your website, and you should think about them as secondary calls to action, so use them for any other landing pages that relate to your campaign and offering. When you're happy, click Save. You can now explore the other ad extensions. Only create ad extensions that suit your business and campaign. For example, if you don't want people to call you, then don't configure the call extension. Only use the ones that work for you. We've now created the basis for our campaign. We have all the elements we need to launch our campaign. But before we do, I want to show you a few more things. Remember when we set up the campaign, we went through a number of different campaign settings. Well, I wanted to show you that you can change all of these settings even after your campaign is up and running. Just ensure that your campaign is selected on the left. And then choose Settings. This is where you can edit your budget, bidding strategy, and more. And the other options I wanted to touch on before we launch our campaign are device bid adjustments. To find these, we need to select Devices. This is where we can modify our bids based on the device someone is using to see our ad. Let's say your audience mainly uses mobile devices, then you might choose to adjust your bids for people using those devices. For example, we can click the bid adjustment for mobile devices and then increase our bid by 100%. This means that if my maximum bid is $2, then now my bid increases by 100%, so to $4 for people using a mobile device. So you can use bid adjustments to adjust your bids for your sweet spots. And you can also apply negative bid adjustments too. For example, if all of your conversions occur on desktops, then you can set a negative bid adjustment. If we set decrease by 100%, then our ads won't be displayed on those types of devices. Unless you have existing data, for example from another Google Ads campaign or from Google Analytics, then I encourage you to leave these bid adjustments until you've collected some insights. Then once you see data coming through from your campaign, you can then use this to inform your bid adjustments. The other feature I want to highlight is conversion tracking. Since there are different options for tracking conversions, I'm just going to show you where to set them up in Google Ads. Let's select Tools and Settings, and then choose Conversions. It's important to take time to set up conversion tracking in Google Ads so that you can understand how your campaign performs. By taking the time to configure conversions, you will be able to see which keywords and ads lead to conversions on your website. To learn more about the different types of conversions you can create, check out the extra resources below this video. Let's take a quick look though. Let's click the button to create a conversion. There are options to track conversions on your website, like leads and purchases. You can track app conversions, phone calls, and you can import conversions. If you've already configured conversions in Google Analytics, then a quick way to get up and running is to link your account and then choose this import option. Once you're tracking conversions, you'll really be able to understand the performance of your campaign. Let's head back to our campaign. We've created our campaign, selected settings to give us maximum control, created our ad groups, selected keywords, and written our ads. This means it's time to launch our campaign. Let's select all campaigns on the top left corner. And now let's select campaigns. And let's change the campaign from paused to enabled. As long as we're not advertising anything in a restricted category, our ads will be reviewed, and then once they're approved, they should be shown on Google search results shortly. If you've enabled your campaign and you're not sure if your ads are running, then you can come back here and check the status column. This will tell you if there are any major issues. You can then navigate to Ads and check the status column for each of your ads. So we can see here that our ads aren't showing yet because they still need to be reviewed by someone from the Google Ads Specialist team. Once our ads have been approved, we'll see this in the status column here. And another way to check if your ads are running is to use the Ad Preview tool. You can find this by selecting Tools and Settings, and then Ad Preview and Diagnosis. This lets you enter one of your search terms to preview the search results on Google. You can even adjust some of the targeting options across the top. This is a great way to check that your ads are running, and it will also provide additional details if there are any issues. So that's how you can get up and running with Google Ads. As you get started with Google Ads, my top 2 tips are to start with a small budget, and once you've created your campaign, make sure you take the time to set up conversion tracking. By setting a small budget, you will be able to begin collecting insights that you can use to optimize your campaign. I've seen people put in higher budgets thinking that Google Ads will somehow automatically deliver results. And when it doesn't go well, they give up. So start small and then grow your campaign. Have you created your campaign in Google Ads? Do you have any questions about setting up campaigns? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please like it so I know to make more videos like this one. I'll see you in the next video.